Good morning, ladies. Okay, I know that we are really trying to get this off the ground, and my goal was for the beginning of 2018. And the reason why, and I've been saying this for a long time, Candy One, I'll call you Candy One because you have the I at the end of your name, is because I've been asking questions and haven't been really getting a response from a lot of people. I need to keep in mind that there are a couple people here with younger children who are just kind of getting an idea of what a co-op entails, and they are thinking maybe they would get involved. They're not entirely sure. We have some questions about timing and length of classes and those days that we are looking at. We haven't decided on a day either. But those were things in my original video that I had asked all of you to please consider, bring to the table by yesterday. I got one response from Amy saying that she's not entirely sure that this is a good fit for her family if we're going to do more than 2 hours. And my thought was, okay, well, maybe it's not, but I don't want anyone to feel like, well, you can't be part of this group if you can't commit to the full time. So I suggested, why not come in for those 2 hours, you teach your classes, and your child gets that co-op experience and to be with other kids. And it was basically, I can try that out. But if we're going to try something out, we need to be fully committed to the time that we're going to give ourselves. I am looking at mid-January to about mid-April, because May is a crazy month for everyone. We also typically end schooling in April, and then we pick up in the summer. We start doing some summer classes, just really outdoor nature, science-y kind of things for our family. That is something I am looking to do as well. I would like to continue in the summer doing nature studies, and I think I brought that up in the first video. If you didn't watch the first video, I suggest that you go back, actually stop this video, go back and watch that video, because it asked a lot of the questions that Candy One asked. She's a doer, and I'm a doer, and we want answers, and we need to kind of get this thing rolling, because as I said, we are running out of time. We are now looking at Thanksgiving, and none of us have actually even gotten together, and we've barely even been chatting together on this site. That makes me a little worried, and I'm not going to lie. I'm a highly sensitive person, please. I'm going to tell you this straight up front. I am a highly sensitive person. I sometimes take things very personal. That's my problem, not yours. So I'm learning really hard to try not to take everything really personal, and instead react the opposite way that I typically would react, which would be I'd get upset or defensive. This time I'm trying to really, just do the opposite. What would the other half of me that's not so crazy say? With that, I'm really trying to make this work for everyone, even those with little children. So I sent you a link to my online courses, and Candy too, who I have talked to personally because we see each other every week at the Y. Our children participate in a program at the YMCA, and we were able to sit down and discuss some ideas. One of the things that Candy too had an issue with is, she bought a lot of curriculum. It was expensive, and she doesn't want to veer away from that. I get that. And that's a great idea, because I think I said that before, that I don't want this program to be something that's going to be taking away from what we're already have in place at home. This is something to supplement it, to get our kids together, to have a really good time, have fun learning together. So for me, we need to decide on a day. You need to decide, am I in or am I out? Am I willing to take this chance or am I not? And Candy One is right. We are running out of time, and we need to make decisions now if we are looking at starting at the beginning or the mid-January of 2018. So I need to know first and foremost, are you in or are you out? If you're out, you need to let us know. You need to say, you know what, this isn't a good fit for us. We're not going to do this. That way, the rest of us who are in are going to have to try to, pick up the pieces and figure out how we're all going to play this out. Yes, this is going to be a longer day. That's what co-ops are about. Co-ops are not just 1 or 2 classes. Co-ops are a time where you get together and you do a lot of different activities. You spend the day together. That's where you start really bonding together as a group and as a co-op community. Candy One had mentioned she saw what she saw. It's all secular. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm going to make it clear, and I already said this is not secular. This is not Christian-based either. We want to be neutral. That means that we're not going to talk about evolution and we're not going to talk about creation. Those of us who are Christians, I don't mind if you want to pray before your lunch. In fact, I don't want you to stop being who you are. Okay, let's make that clear. So that's your first question. Are you in or you are out? Now is the time to make that decision. Because we have been doing this for several weeks, kind of talking back and forth. A lot of you, when I originally made the post, said, yes, I'm in, I want to do this. Some of you said, oh, I'm not sure what's a co-op, and I just kind of joined you into this conversation so you could get a feel for what was going on. Now, remember, we are just starting up, so there's a lot that's going to go into this. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, you guys. And that's okay, because we got to figure this out as we go along. It's not something like, well, we'll start it when it's perfect, because it's not going to be perfect, ever. This is really just a trial basis for us as a very small group. So some of us are going to have to do double duty, because if a couple people decide, I'm not going to do this, then those of us who are committed to this, we're going to have to reconsider how are we going to teach all of these classes with only 3 moms. That's okay. We can do this. We can. We're doers, Candy. We can do this. But we have to work together. That is the main key, the main goal, the main purpose of this is working together. I don't want you out there on your own doing this and trying to figure things out. That's why I really had hoped that we could get together. Before this, I had asked, can we get together? Nobody responded to that. I said, can we do a group Skype or like this where we can all talk to each other, one another like this? No one responded to that either. So we have to respond. If we're going to be in this, we have to respond, because Candy One is like, what's going on? Let's get this moving. And I feel the same way, but I'm not really I'm not trying to push anybody. I'm really just trying to kind of guide you along. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? Now is the time to make that choice, because we don't have much time, because the holidays are coming up, and that's going to take a lot of our time for some of us. For me, I'm going to tell you right now that once this YMCA program is done with Tavin, my days are pretty free. I'm not like, I have this on Monday and this on Tuesday and this on Wednesday, and Fridays I just can't. Fridays I just can't. That's true, because that's my husband's day off and that's our family day. So Fridays are really out for me. So that's the only day that I will not be able to do this program with you. As far as that, we really have to come up with a day and a time, and then we have to get our classes together. Now, what I'd like to see for this is I'd like to see math, science, history, language arts, maybe some art. We are incorporating a lot of information, so that's going to take time. We want to give a lesson at the beginning of whatever topic we're teaching. We want to give a brief lesson, or however long it needs to be, and we need to then come up with a really fun idea of how we're going to incorporate that lesson to where it's interactive and hands-on for the kids. That is my goal. And that class, whatever class you're teaching, that class can be an hour long, because you might be doing anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes of a lesson, and then you have another portion of that lesson is going to be the kids doing an interactive activity. And that could be on their own, or it could be guided by the teacher. See, there's a whole lot of things we need to consider. But it's your class. Remember that. This is your class. So however you want to run your class, that's fine. But the other thing is that when you are doing a class where it's interactive, we don't want the kids to be spending too much time cutting. I know. You're all like, but that's motor skills. I got it. But my son Tavin doesn't have very good motor skills, so if we were to sit and wait for Tavin to cut a bunch of things out in order for him to do something, you'll be there all day, and he won't get his project done, and he'll be frustrated. So I really want to see things prepped already. That doesn't mean we're doing the project for them. It means that, those little minor things that we can have ready for them for a class, have them ready so that one child or the other child or someone else who's really, really fast doing something isn't sitting there waiting for the one child that's really struggling with that area. So if you're doing an interactive, and you are going to be doing an interactive portion of your class, make sure that it's prepped, that you have all your materials ready, laid out before class, set to go, so that when that time comes, they can just move right into it. Okay. For those of you who have little ones, you have to decide if this is what you want to do, because we have to decide, do we need another space? I don't know how many of you go to church that we can borrow a classroom or 2 classrooms or a separator or the library. That hasn't been decided because nobody's come to me and said, I know a place where we can go, and yeah, the library sounds good, let's do that. I got no answers. So again, we need to start answering the questions in order to keep moving on. Those are the other things that we need to think of, because if we are going to have little ones, then we have to figure out how we're going to handle the little ones. How are we going to do little projects for them, like learning classes for them, because they could be doing fun stuff, story time and things like that nature. So, but you have to decide if that's what you want, if you really want to do that, because that's all going to play into how we do this. And as a group, we have to come together and decide who's going to go in to the little's room while their mom is in there teaching. So that's one thing that's really important about this as well. The other question is, you have to stay committed. You can't walk out of this thing at 2 weeks in and go, this just isn't working. No. Because that's not fair to us, and it's not going to be fair to the other parents, and it's not going to be fair to the children. This is about the children. While this is going to benefit us as moms to really get to know one another and become friends and build a good community, our kids come first. First and foremost, this is about the children. This is about their learning experience and their homeschooling journey. This is about them having an opportunity to learn with others and their peers and really grow in this experience to take with them throughout their lives. So we really want to stay committed to this at least through mid-April. So you really need to be committed to that. If you're thinking, you know what, I can't do that, then you have to just say right now, I'm not going to do that. If you think that you don't want to stick it out, like, well, I want to do this, but I don't want to stay committed. Sorry, I'm really sorry, but you probably shouldn't be with this, because again, it's just not fair to everyone else, because everyone else will have to pick up the slack. And I've actually had that happen to me before. It turned out to be a good thing, because the mom was going to be doing a fine arts program, and I had to quickly learn about art, and now I love art. So thank God she didn't want to do it, and at the last minute decided I can't do this. But that was really tough on me. Granted, it was a great experience for me, but it was really tough at the time, and I don't ever want to have to go through that again, quite frankly. So if you can't do it now, then that way whoever is going to be a part of this is going to be able to decide, what do we need to teach and who's going to teach it. I've already told you, math and science, not my thing. I'm willing to do language arts that would incorporate poetry, music, really kind of communication. I look at language arts as an arts program, not, reading and reading comprehension and all that, although we would be doing some of that. I also love teaching fine arts and history. I like teaching the two together. But before I do any of that, I'm going to actually take you through a guided tour of something, because I was talking earlier in the video, my first video, about Today We Celebrate. And I'm going to actually stop this video, and then I'm going to put together something for you on what I'm thinking that we can do that will be really fun, that won't take away from your curriculum at home, but it's going to be so much fun for you and your children. So again, we need to answer all those questions, and then I need an answer, because next week is Thanksgiving. And after that is probably when we should get together as a group. And I'm talking, we can't just get together for a half hour or an hour, because we are going to be crunching. We really have to dedicate ourselves to this, and we have to figure out how we're going to do this. Okay, so answer those questions, figure out if you're in or out, figure out what you want to teach, because I'm going to show you what my ideas are. And, if you like this format, then we can run with it. And then you can decide, you know what, I love this, I think we can do this. But then we have to look at some things that are going to be happening. And I'll get to that in a minute, okay? All right, so I'm going to stop this video, and then I'm going to show you a different part of what I am hoping that we can incorporate as a co-op. Okay, so I am on my Today We Celebrate.teachable.com class. This is what I was talking about with my Today We Celebrate. It was basically talking about National Observation Days and how you can incorporate that into a curriculum program. So what I did here is I actually had an introduction to the program, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when I say national observations. And then there's February national days. This is just February as an example, and I already have a lot of this put together. It is something that we can use. It's American Heart Month, An Affair to Remember Month, if you remember that movie, Black History Month, Canned Food Month, Creative Romance Month, Great American Pie Month, National Bake for Family Fun Month, National Bird Feeding Month, Cherry Month, Dental Month, Grapefruit Month, Heart Month, Hot Breakfast Month, Library Lovers Month, Macadamia Nut, North American Inclusion Month, National Snack Food Month, Wedding Month, Embroidery Month. Okay, so those were just some ideas. Now, these are things that we could take and elaborate on. If it's National Grapefruit Month, we could bring in grapefruits and have the kids try grapefruits, and we can learn about grapefruit from science and from a health standpoint. That could be one lesson. We could learn about our teeth. That could be another science lesson, learning about our teeth. Cherry. Of course, we know that, George Washington never did cut down a cherry tree, but we could learn about cherries, and along with grapefruits, we could just make that a whole thing. Now, National Bird Feeding Month, this would be fun, because we could learn about birds, but part of our project could be making bird feeders. Okay, but one person could do the lesson on birds. See, it would be like a unit study. We would agree on one topic we want to do, like let's say National Bird Feeding Month. We say, okay, this is what we want to do. We could do math incorporating birds, bird math. We could learn about birds in our science. We can learn about how to make bird feeders. We could do some language art programs on birds, like poetry about birds, that type of thing. I'm just trying to breeze through this. Canned Food Month. We could learn about the history of canned food. We could, just kind of, learn about art from this, because we know that this was Andy Warhol's kind of thing, doing the canned soup. It's also Black History Month, so we could do a lot with that. So let me show you what I did then next. Here are our national days Now, February, every month has national days. So National Get Up Day, National Baked Alaska Day. So whatever day that our class landed on, we could do something really cool about that. Let's see. Let's say our day landed on February 4th. We can learn about the postman. We could discuss how the post system works. We could learn about the history of the Postal Service here in America. We could actually do a little sorting thing for the little kids. They could do sorting mail. We could, for language arts, we could write letters to people and send them and show them how to write an envelope, how to address an envelope, more I should say, how to do some writing a letter to somebody. So there's a lot of fun things that we could do with that if we were to choose to do something like that. If we wanted to do a day, a national day, rather than something from our national month. So you can see there is a creative vacuum day, which was really kind of interesting, which is devoid of all matter is a vacuum. See, we could do something really fun with that because February 4th has a lot of really cool stuff going on. It also has National Homemade Soup Day, so we could actually make homemade soup together. Then there's February 5th and February 6th. As you see, it goes on and on. Periodic table, that would be a fun thing to do. Send a card to a friend day, but we would need to be able to choose what day, or if we want to do like something from a national observation. Now I'm going to go over here to February, where we learned about birthstones and the flower of February. So that's kind of fun. And then there was a little quiz there. Then we have Black History Month. Now I made a curriculum based off of this. So you can see I put a lot of information into this Black History Month. I wrote all of this curriculum, and I actually went out and found a lot of videos that went along with it. So as you can see, I really put a lot of time and effort into this program. And why do we celebrate Black History Month and things of that matter? So then I have February birthdays. Now this is something else that we could choose from. We could pick a historical figure or an artist and kind of focus our unit study on one of those people. Okay, you can see that the author of Mutiny on the Bounty's birthday, and this artist was born on this day. Oh, and then Clark Gable, we could learn about the history of Clark Gable and the history of Hollywood and what movies used to look like. Boris Yeltsin, we could learn about Russia. We don't want to learn about Rick James. We can learn about Jacob Roggeveen, who was the Dutch explorer who founded Easter Island. So these are just some examples of what we can pick and choose from. So now here's what I also did is I actually worked on historical events that happened on every day. So we could take some historical events from the month or the day that we're working on. We could say on this day in history kind of thing. I also had deaths, and now we have curriculum choices. Now, as you can see here, I have science because I'm talking about Frankenstein because it was Mary Shelley's birthday, or it was her death. I can't remember which one at this point. But basically, I kind of took it to a whole different place and talked about GMOs and what those are, to learn about genetically modified organisms to grow food because of what Frankenstein was all about. See how I did that? How I can turn anything into a topic, as you can see. So math, I was able to do, I forget what this was based on. Some mathematician came up with the power of exponents. And so I thought, hey, how cool is that? So I had that all involved. And then fine arts, we had Piet Mondrian. It might have been his birthday. I forget. This has been so long ago, but I love Mondrian. So we learned about him and we did some art projects for him, which I absolutely love, of course. And then I had little famous artist worksheets that they could work on. Then we have social studies, which is about civil rights. And as you can see, I broke it up into middle school and high school. And then I also have for younger students down here. Now I have history, and we read the 13th Amendment and discuss what freedom means to you. Okay, and then we also have younger students here. Then we have vocabulary, which would be part of our language arts. And we have reading, which we can incorporate some books that are correlated with what we're learning. Then we would learn about geography, learning about Africa and where the slaves came from. Let's see, what else do I have here? So that's that. I'm going to take you to the site where I get a lot of my information, and we can actually show you that. So this is my National Day calendar. It's not mine, but it's really fun. This is a way for us, if we want to choose to do something like this, we can work together and decide what we want to do. And then if we want to take, okay, so if I go to January, see, I'm trying to make this as fast as I can. So here's our national days, January national days. We could pick from those. So you can see there's a lot of stuff going on. We don't want to do Hangover Day at all. We already know why that's. National Spaghetti Day, Trivia Day. Trivia Day would be fun. So you can see there's a lot of cool stuff that we could choose from. If we were to land on one of these days, then we could choose something from that. However, we could also go to, let me go back. And we could do like national observations for the month of January. Okay, so as you can see, we went through the national days, which is a daily thing, the fun things that are going on, like National Hot Dog Day, National Donut Day, National Chocolate Day. We're seeing those all over the place online now. This is becoming a really big thing, and they're taking them very seriously. So now let's go to National Month observations. And we can actually take some of these National Month observations and make them into curriculum again. So we have Bath Safety Month, Black Diamond Month, Blood Donor Month. We could learn about blood in our science classes. We could learn why it's important to give blood. We have Braille Literacy Month. How fun would that be? The library has a lot of Braille books. We could learn about Braille. Hobby Month, Hot Tea Month, Mentoring Month, Oatmeal Month, National Slavery and Human Trafficking, Prevention Month, Slow Cooking Month, Soup Month, Sunday Supper Month. So there's not a whole lot going on here in January, but now we'll go to the weekly because we could actually do something on the weekly observations. So now we'll go to National Week observations. Now this is when they take a week and you observe something for that entire week. So Diet Resolution Week, well, we know what that's all about. Silent Record Week, Celebration of Life, New Year's Resolutions Week. Someday we'll laugh about this week. National Folic Acid Awareness, National Pizza Week, like Pizza Week would be fun. Okay, this is because pizza, we know we can incorporate math in with fractions. We could learn about the history of pizza. We can learn about Italy in geography. So there's a lot of cool things that we could think of, but again, we would have to sit down together and say, what do we like? What can we really come up with? But if we're going to do something like this, we need to start looking at it now, and I need everyone to be thinking, what do I like and what can I come up with? Because we don't have to just say, all right, so it's National Pizza Week and every one of us are going to teach something about pizza. We could do that because that would be more of a unit-based theme for that class. Or we could take a national day and pick several things out of it and make it fun that way. I mean, we can do a hodgepodge of things. We could make it a unit study. We could, kind of just say, well, here's what's going on today and choose from those things. Universal Letter Writing Week. What a great way to incorporate writing and learning how to write a letter. Language arts, right there. So see, we could take a whole bunch of stuff. Hunt for Happiness Week. How fun would that be for the kids, the little ones? Sugar Awareness Week. We learn about sugar, where it comes from, what it does to our body, what it is. We can look at the chemical makeup of sugar. We can learn about where geography, from where it comes from, and what has happened to sugar, and the differences of sugars. And we can bring in sugars and have the kids taste sugars, the different types of sugars, like raw sugar, the white sugar, and I no name calling week. Fresh squeezed juice week. How fun would that be? So you can see that if we were to look at all of this stuff, National Handwriting Analysis Week, how fun would that be? This is the week of John Hancock's birthday. So you can see what they've done. Okay, so they've made a national holiday here based on the week of John Hancock's birthday on January 23rd. So they're actually taking national holidays based on a birthday of somebody who was famous that month. And we can learn about those as well. What I can do is I can send you all of this information and you can look at it, and we can look at January, February, March, April, and we can start making a decision based on that. There's also international days. I'm not sure if we want to do that. I'd like to stick to something of these three here and see where we want to go with that. Now, I will show you something else that I have. So we have Today in History. I also have the book Today in History, which I really like. It is something that we can incorporate into history as well. So if we look at today, this is Saturday, November 18th, we can see what happened on this day in history. Look at National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. Okay, so see how it's popping up something. Now that could be a fun thing to do. So we see that there's a lot of stuff going on, and we can look at these things as well and decide, hey, do we want to maybe do something like on this day in history? Because I actually used to do that for my Today We Celebrate page. I did a Today in History, and I did like an infograph of things that I felt were important and didn't get overwhelmed, like, who needs to know about this? Yeah, I don't need to know that they arrived in Iraq at that day. It's just that, you got to pick out the things that, really matter. Like here, the Soviet Union helps deliver American wheat during the Ethiopian famine. That's amazing. That's something to really kind of focus on too. But we could do something like that. I don't mind teaching a class like that, like Today in History, and incorporating some of those things in our historical curriculum and making it really fun. Okay, so those are some of my ideas of how we can really incorporate a great curriculum together without it interrupting with a regular curriculum that we're doing at home. Something really fun and interesting and different. But we can do so many things. Like, as I mentioned with Pizza Day, I think that's amazing because we don't just have to focus on pizza. We could focus on where pizza originated from. We could talk about Italy. We could actually learn some Italian, do a foreign language. And just for that week, I mean, we're not going to focus on Italian for the whole semester, but it's something that they could learn a few words from Italian. So there's so many things that we could do with that curriculum if we look at it and we pick and choose, but I'm going to send you the links to the information that I have for those national days and Today in History so that you can look at them and see if that's what we want to do. I think it's a great program. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And like I said, it's just something different that isn't going to be so bogged down with academics, but something really fun. If that's what we want to do, then we need to start looking at it. We need to get together the week after Thanksgiving, go through it, what we think we want to do, what we like out of what we saw, and decide together how we envision that to be so many classes that would incorporate math, science, geography, art, language arts, and things of that nature, and of course history. So I think that's a good starting point for us. And if you're not interested in that, if you have a better idea, bring it forth. But I'm trying to move along, Candy One. I'm trying to move this along and get this going. We can get this started as soon as next week. We can start working on it together as a team, making our decisions of what we want to do for January. And then in January, we would need to get together to start discussing February, or we could start working on February right away as well, so that it's kind of out there and it's done. Give these things some thought. Let me know what you want to do. And we need to get together the week after Thanksgiving, so please come up with a date for that. I really think we need to start getting the ball rolling on this if you are interested in staying in this and working together on this co-op. I also want to remind you that our initial meetings are not going to be little meetings. They are going to take a little bit longer in time because there's a lot of information that we need to gather together, agree on, and come up with some ideas. Eventually, that's not going to take as much time. It's going to take us some time these first 2 or 3 times that we get together because we are building a co-op. And as you know, building something does not just take a half hour. We get together. I know this video was long, but there was a lot of information that needed to be presented and talked about and questions that needed to be asked. These next few sessions that we get together, for those of you who are in and you're going to be coming into this co-op, prepare yourself for some time to really sit down and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Now, we can get a room at maybe Festival or the library, and we can have the kids just bring whatever they want, and the kids can get together too and get to know each other while we're working off at a table. The kids can be off playing or doing their own thing or whatever, getting to know each other, even if they want to do screen time, whatever. But we have to stay committed, and we have to say, you know, I can't give myself an hour or an hour and a half or even 2 hours. If you can't do that now, then I don't think you're going to be able to do this later. And again, this is a temporary thing. This isn't going to be like every time we get together, it's going to be 2 hours or an hour or whatever. But right now, we're trying to get this off the ground, and we're trying to come to agreements and making plans. So it is going to take time, and we have to realize that and plan for it and not be like, well, I don't really want to, get together for a couple hours. And like I said, if you already don't want to get together to try to build this and talk about how we're going to move forward for an hour or two, I don't know how you'll be able to do a longer day for co-op. Not trying to be mean or rude. I'm really just trying to get you to understand that getting this off the ground is not going to take a half-hour meeting a week and be like, hey, we're good to go. It could, but we need to plan on a little bit more time. Okay? Have a great weekend.